So describe the scene there at the Fort Rouge right now. What, McEwen's team's on one sheet throwing rocks?
Well, I see Jenny Jones's dad is out with Janet Arnott on sheet 2. And I got Matt Wozniak throwing a couple teals up and down the sheet on sheet 4. And I think the other guys are changing downstairs.
Wow. So then you're going to go with Ollie Scott's team.
Yeah.
Well,
they're gonna think I'm practicing for mixed.
There you go. You're putting together a good mixed squad.
Yeah. Matt normally plays the mixed too, so he's gonna probably try to get some girls out.
Oh, are you doing mixed again?
Oh, you'll probably end up seeing me give it a go, but whether or not we really give it a try. There's actually some really solid mixed teams that come out of Manitoba.
Yeah.
There's some guys that really take it seriously, and you know what? It's actually kind of neat. It's a really different game as to what I think both sexes are used to. But the finished product, like the team that normally comes out of Manitoba, is normally really good.
Yeah, you guys usually do have a good team. You went once.
I went once.
Terry
We didn't do very good.
Terry takes it pretty
McEnany is a prime example of a guy that's he's really good in men's, but I think he's even better in mixed. He really knows the game well.
Hi, and welcome to The Curling Show, the podcast that brings you interviews with the sport's top athletes and the people who shape the game. Brought to you by Fit to Curl, a sport-specific guide to training for the world's greatest game by Olympic gold medalist, Team Martin Third, and curling.ca blogger, John Morris, with some help from me, Dean Gemmell. In the book, there are programs for all curlers, no matter what their current fitness levels or aspirations may be. Not only can it help you feel better on the ice, make a few more shots, and brush more effectively, it also offers you a look at how a curler like John approaches the game. To get a copy for yourself or for the curler on your holiday list, visit fittocurl.com or your favorite pro shop. The second this season on Team Stoughton, Reid Carruthers. Welcome back to the Curling Show.
Oh, thanks very much. It's been a while. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, I say welcome back because the last time you were on, I think, was when you were the fifth for Kerry Burtnick.
Fifth man. I believe I was heading out for the fifth man Olympics, they call it.
Yeah, it was you and Adam Enright who certainly turned that fifth man job into a good one, into a good gig. And,
yeah, for sure. He, he's a great player and he's done well for himself.
Yeah, I remember that call. And I think for some reason I had a little technical glitch with that edition of the podcast. It's the only one you actually can't download. You can only listen to it.
Oh, okay.
Tragic, Reid. So we'll get you back here now with a solid one, I think. So
sounds great.
Hey, let's start with this. I haven't been out west at all this season, so I haven't really seen your team play until this past weekend. There's no Curl TV this year, and you guys weren't out at the Cactus Pheasant Classic in Brooks where they had a webcast. So I start watching the quarterfinals on CBC this past weekend, and there's Reid Carruthers sliding with an almost flat foot delivery and a stabilizer, an Asham crutch, whatever, in his hand. I knew about your knee injury last year, but I doubt I was the only one who was a bit taken aback. When did you make this change?
Well, to be honest, I made the change right before the season started. I had the surgery done in March, and obviously I was shut down from curling provincials on, so that would have been mid-February. And, I had the surgery, took a couple months of physio. Basically, even before I actually had the surgery in March, I was already going in February just to try to build my muscles up around the knee joint, just so, my recovery would probably be a little shorter. Well,
prior to the surgery.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was to try to make it a little bit better. But the rehab, I had to put a lot of work into building my muscles. Obviously, I was a skip, and I didn't really hit the gym very much at all prior to this curling season. So I really built up the leg muscles. I went 3 times a week to physio. My physiotherapist did a great job. He pushed me hard, and I worked really hard all summer long. And when it came time to actually go to throw, before I actually went and did it for the first time, it was under his recommendation to maybe even just try throwing flat flip, because throughout physio, he was getting me to do lunges and, even one-legged squats, which is basically a flat-footed delivery. And I had zero knee pain doing that. So it was kind of one of those things where, well, if you don't have any knee pain, why aren't you doing that in the first place? Because curling with, knee pain, it's not only a pain for you because it makes you not want to throw rocks, but it's also, I think it also affects your shots a little bit too, because if you're not comfortable in your slide, it's pretty hard to be 100% accurate on hitting the broom, because you're just basically trying to end your delivery so you're not in pain anymore.
Yeah, you're trying to get rid of the rock and get up or fall down.
Just get rid of it. So I decided to give it a switch, and I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to throw flat, why don't I throw with something that gives me the most support, aka some sort of delivery where I can have my hand close to on the ice, or actually just leaning slightly onto a broom. And, I thought about going with the broom out to the side, but actually throwing it to crutch made the most sense. And I tried it for the first slide, and, to be able to slide, I was super excited. And it felt natural, felt good. And I threw a ton of rocks start of the season, got used to the slide, and, I even tried throwing tuck again, but it was so painful going to that deep knee flexion that I decided just to go straight flat, and I've stuck with it, and I'm really happy.
Well, sort of a flat with a raised heel, right? Which is I think better than a straight flat foot delivery. But
I'm slightly up on the front toe, but not very much at all. I'd say I'm more flat than anything.
Well, how pleased was Jeff when you told him you'd be debuting a new delivery this season?
Well, to be honest, I talked to Steve a little bit about it. I probably talked to him the most about it. With Jeff, we had our first bonspiel in Warren. Jeff was just happy that I'd be able to come out and curl. They were actually going to maybe play with another player in Warren, just because it was a month before our actual competitive season kicked off. But I said, Jeff, why don't we give it a try? We'll have someone waiting in the wings just in case, I can't slide. And I went out for the first game. I threw rocks the day before, and I threw with the crutch. And, I just told the guys, look, I'm going to make a switch. I'm going to go to flat foot. I did do it as a junior, probably when I was 15 or 16. But, it's been a long time since I've thrown flat. And I gave it a try, and it felt great. And, I can't say I played great the first bonspiel in Warren, but I don't think really anyone did. So it gave me more time to practice. And they were willing for me to were willing to let me give it a try. And they're the types of guys that like to constantly work on getting better. And it's one of those things where I want to find a delivery where I have zero pain, where I can be consistent. And if you look at a guy like David Nedowin, I don't think there's anyone that has been more consistent than him. And he's flat, he's square to the broom, and I kind of tried to emulate my slide after his.
There you go. You don't quite look like you're throwing in a phone booth yet, but
not quite. I like to have it a little more opened up. I find it keeps me a little more square.
Yeah, you did look square to the broom, that's for sure. You look square for a guy who was, you're pretty amazing actually, working with something that is fairly new. I don't know. I don't know if it would be easier to go. I think it's got to be maybe a little easier to go from tuck to flat foot than the other way, but I'm not sure. Whatever, it's a big change. Speaking of changes, I'm assuming you guys all knew going into the last week's Capital One Grand Slam, the Grey Power World Cup of Curling. I'm assuming you all knew that John Meade wouldn't be able to play the final if you made it that far. When did the call go to Greg Balsden, and how many calls were made before that one?
Well, to be honest, there were 0 phone calls made before. It was one of those things where we're playing the quarters, and it's one of those things where you really try not to look that far ahead, just because you're playing against the best of the best of the best in that event. We're playing Brad Gushu, Olympic medalist in 2000, gold medalist in 2006. So that's a game where we're thinking, okay, this would be a great one to win. And it's not that we don't think we can win. It's just, we're playing in the elite competition. So we're trying not to look too far ahead. Sure enough, we beat them, and we play Howard, have a great game versus Howard. And Jeff makes a great double for the win. The game was back and forth, and sure enough, he finishes with a great shot. And then we look at John, and it was just like, wow, I guess we need a spare. And that's where it really hit us. So we got on the phone. We actually got a hold of John Epping. Him and Johnny Meade are still really good friends, and being an Ontario guy, he'd be the guy that would be able to help us out to find a spare. And we were looking up and down the draw of the spiel going on in Ontario at the time. And Greg Balzan, obviously, we've played against him, and heard of him, and know that he plays the tour. Their team lost out in the C semis of their event. So we just got a phone call up to him, and he was instant. How could he turn that down? So.
Well, interestingly enough, I was actually in Whitby last week, and I heard about this after my team lost the C qualifier. And
so you were wondering why we didn't give you a call?
I was a little chagrined by that. Fairly shocked, actually. I was stunned that I didn't get the call.
That would have been pretty awesome.
Yeah, maybe for McEwen's team it would have been awesome, but yeah.
Well, we could have let you just play straight third.
Yeah, there you go. The funny thing was, as Greg was leaving the club that night, he was telling everyone that he was playing the next day, and Greg's a fun guy, and I think only maybe half the club actually believed him.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Really.
I was on the fence as to whether he was serious or not, but he was leaving the club slightly earlier than he usually does, I think. So
yeah, I think so too.
That might have tipped me off that he was.
Yeah, and I don't think that meant he had more sleep than normal. He was a little nervous for the big game, but I don't know how you can't be nervous. I don't care who you are. You're getting thrown into a slam final unless you've played in one before. Even that was my first one, and I was nervous playing in the final, and I'd been playing on the ice all week. But to give the guy credit, he played great for us. Nervous at first, but man, he really enjoyed himself down the stretch of the game. He played great. I couldn't ask for more out of the guy. Yeah,
he did play well, and it was a well-played game, and a good win for McEwen's team. And
for sure.
I know you guys were disappointed, but would have had Mike on the show to talk about it, to be honest. But he was on recently, so and he didn't change his delivery over the summer there, Reid. So
yeah,
I want to talk to you. Hey, unusual situations. They seem to be a hallmark of this team so far. Talk about the nightmare that was the West Coast Curling Classic in New West.
Oh yeah, what a bonspiel! That was a tough go for us. We played really well. We actually, I think we ran the A side, got to the A final. We did beat Mike. We have beat him once this year. Just thought I'd point that out. He has cleaned us up the last two times, but we beat him in the A semi, then got to old Kmart in the A final, and ended up getting down 4. Most teams are against that team. And we battled back, took 2, I think we stole 2, might have forced them. But either way, we were tied up coming home. We actually had a chance to steal if we make a roll on the last shot. It was one of those ones where on, off, and it didn't quite roll as far as we needed. And Kevin Martin does not miss a draw to the 4-foot. So sure, he made his shot, won the game. And that kind of set us down to the B side, and we played. Who would have played? We played Brad Gushu.
Yeah, Gushu in the B qualifier.
Yeah. So we were playing Gushu, and we played a really good game. It was a very well played game by both teams. And we had a really tough last. Yeah, we had a tough last end. We were tied up with the hammer, and with Jeff's first shot, it was one of those shots where we have 2 ways to hit it, and we hit it the third way. Like we hit it right in the middle, or we could have hit it either side, and it was just, one of those shots where you just kind of giggle because you're just like, are you serious? Like, did we just do that? But it was a good game. So then we have to go down to the C side. We won our C semi.
And you're playing Rob Schlender in the C qualifier.
Yeah, and that's a team that people don't normally, or people don't really know who they are. But he's a really good player out of Alberta. And they got up on us, and they have really good hitters. I think the second man was throwing 5-second peel weight, and he was cleaning every rock out, and we weren't quite as sharp as we could be. And then, we got to the 8th end, down 3 with the hammer, took a 3, go to the extra, And you would not believe it, but we actually tied on the measure. Steve and I
where you couldn't distinguish who was closer is what happened.
We could not distinguish. We could not get the stick in to measure it because they were both touching the button. And the pin would fit inside the pinhole, but we could not actually get the measurement stick around to measure each rock. So, and the way it kind of worked out, Steve, we were playing a shot. We had a rock middle, there's a rock center line. We had our guard up, and they had a rock just touching top button. And basically, the ice is curling enough that you could get around, and we could tap it on the nose and tap it just far enough. Well, we got to the nose, but we swept it the whole way from coast to coast. And, you know, I guess if we move it just a tiny bit further, Rob would have had a really tough shot. But after we're done brushing, get up, it looks like we've moved it far enough. And then John looks at it. Schlender's third looks at it. And we can't figure out whose shot. They think it's them. We think it's us. And we got an official to come out and look at it. And that's after about 5-10 minutes of even us looking at it. And the official first said that they thought it was Rob's team. And then we said to the official, well, try looking from this side of the rock, because if you moved your eye to the other side of the rock, it actually looked like us. So then the official also agreed that it looked like we were shot. So after 15 minutes, we agreed to replay the extra end. And we just could not get the angle set up for ourselves, and we did not have a good end. They made some nice shots and won the game that they probably deserved to win. So
that is one of the more brutal ABC stories I've heard.
Oh, but, it was a rough flight home. Yeah.
Hey, there was also an incident with Peter Nichols at Portage, Prairie that sounded interesting. My understanding of it, I think you guys were right to do what you did. The way you explained to me that Jeff and Peter agreed that a rock was off the rings early in the end and therefore not hittable. And you didn't get the biter measure out because apparently no one could find it or something like that. But
well, the stick was around. See, the issue is we played on that sheet before. We actually measured the rings on that sheet. I think it was 3 games before, and we were playing. I forget who we were playing, but we thought the rock was in. Threw the stick on it, and we've actually found that the rocks visually looked in when actually they weren't. The biter stick didn't actually make it out to the edge of the paint.
Right.
So when a rock looks like it's in, it's actually out if it's just biting. So we knew that going into it. Jeff takes a look at the rock, says, "Oh, I don't think it's in." Pete takes a look, says, "No, I think it's out." Or he says that anyways. I'm not sure what he really thought, but he says, "Oh, it's out." Then we go down to John comes and takes a peek at it. John goes, "Yep, it's out." So we decide not to throw the stick on it. So the end plays out. Jeff's last one, they were going to get a steal. Jeff hits and rolls out, and we would have conceded the one. So as we're going to kick the rocks off, Pete says, and I get along great with Pete. I really like the team. It was kind of one of those things where I guess we had to agree to disagree, and we were both, I guess we were on opposite teams and opposite thought processes on it. He wanted to go measure it. Well, it was my understanding in the way curling is played that once you agree that the rock is out, you don't go to try to see if the rock's in. So I guess we had a bit of a disagreement going back and forth. Well, we can't measure it. And Jeff says, well, you can't measure this rock, and he kicked it off. Whether or not we should have kicked the rock off, well, that's another question. But either way, it was one of those things where you didn't really expect the guy to say that it's out to begin with, and then want to go and throw a stick on it. By the rule book, they had the right to say they wanted to measure it, but it was one of those things where it may say in the rule that you can go and measure it, but if you really thought it was out, why didn't you let us agree that we should throw a stick down on this and we should just measure it from the start?
I would agree with that. I think Jeff probably shouldn't have kicked it off, but nonetheless, I could understand if you're ticked about it. It seems to me the end plays out entirely differently if it's in.
For sure. So, if it's in, we're peeling the guard.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think. I think if it's in and it's entirely different end. So, yeah, I don't think you can go throw a stick on it if everybody agreed that it was out. Yeah. All right. Well, enough about this crazy season so far for you. Hey, I talked to you in 2008. I think the last time I actually spoke to you in person at the last Capital One Grand Slam of the season, the Players' Championship.
I remember Players' Championship.
Yeah, in St. John's. Now, you were skipping a team with Jason Gunlickson, Justin Richter, and Tyler, I think, on that team, right? Tyler Forrest.
True story.
Mike McEwen was there, but struggling. Ryan Fry was playing third for Jeff Stoughton with Rob Fowler at second. Heading out to that event in St. John's, could you have imagined that all of that group would wind up going in such different, not altogether bad, but definitely different directions?
Well, to be honest, you could say Mike's team was struggling for the event, but it was clear
at that time that they were going to be a great team. Yeah,
for sure. They did win Rookie of the Team of the Year award, and the reason why I know this is because we were in the running for it too. But they got voted. And I think they deserve it. As much as I might be biased and think we deserved it, deep down inside I know they deserved it. And, that's a good team. There was no doubt about it that they were going to be a force to be reckoned with, and they really are. I think by winning this weekend, it's like I don't think there's any question. I think our provincials are going to be scary. Hopefully we make the provincials because we haven't qualified for it yet. But and you have to look at Rob Fowler's team too. Like they're going to be great as well. But going back to the Players' Championship, at that point, I wanted to take a step back from curling because I wanted to finish my schooling. I still had another year of university to do, and those guys, Justin, Jason, Tyler, they all really wanted to curl. And by curling, I really meant full time. So to see them curling full time, getting paid to do it out of Russia, doesn't really surprise me. For them to be playing for Russia, maybe a little bit, but it's a great opportunity for them. And myself to get back into curling. Well, it's the old classic, the cat came back, couldn't stay away. I just couldn't. Last year, I played a more relaxed schedule. We had some decent success on the Manitoba Curling Tour, but I guess, not having the house and the kids and all the other things that most curlers do, I kind of figure that if I am going to curl competitive, now would be the time. And the opportunity to play with Jeff came up, and I just couldn't turn it down.
Well, yeah, I think this is a good opportunity for you right now, a good time to do it, that's for sure. Unfortunately, I think the best times to curl are probably when you're 25 and then again when you're 55. So,
yeah, you're probably right.
But it's the in-between years there that get tough. But, yeah, it's interesting how all the different directions you guys went. And I think you certainly nailed it with Jason there. It's great to see them getting paid to do what they want to do. And if playing for Russia is how they have to do it, I say they go for it. So, and that's although they certainly they got off to a rocky start this year, and they had to pull it together.
Yeah, well, they did. But the thing is, they had a new player. Yes, they did practice a lot, but they got two new guys onto the team. And you throw any new player who hasn't really played on the World Curling Tour all that much against fierce competition. It is going to take a while for everyone to gel again, but it kind of looks like they have. They have been close. I'd say they have had a couple decent bonspiels where maybe they could have qualified, but I think you'll now start to see Jason's name start to run pretty deep into draws.
All right, Reid, we finished with a run back. Oh, you're out there at the Fort Rouge. We'll do a Fort Rouge run back. I'll give you a topic. You give me your thoughts in 1 to 3 words.
Sounds good.
Pat McCallum's short-lived stint with Team Kevin Park.
Really unfortunate. Pat's one of my best friends. It kind of seemed like from the start that team wasn't gelling as well as it could or should have. But hopefully Pat lands on his feet, finds himself on a good team.
A lot of chemical elements in that team, I guess, or a lot of combustibility, that's for sure. So, the MCA spiel.
A great time that should be experienced by all.
Yeah, I have to play. I got to play in that 1 year. Go out there and play.
Should fly in.
Yeah. Former teammate Chris Galbraith.
Great guy.
The importance of fitness when playing second.
Extremely important.
You're finding out, are you?
I think you could tell by the sweat on my brow.
Yeah, well, you do look like you lost a couple layers. So I guess
I have shed one belt size, and I'm trying to go down a couple more.
Good for you. Team Brad Jacobs.
Great team, great young guys. One of my most favorite teams to hang out with on tour.
A Team Canada at the Tim Hortons Brier.
Interesting thought process, but I don't know how you can mess with tradition.
The Team McEwen website.
Pretty interesting. The first video, I did catch a glimpse of it. Thought it was pretty funny. So I'm looking forward to seeing some updates on there.
Yeah, good for them for using all that. I mean, I guess their alternate player is sort of their social media manager.
He's a tech-savvy guy. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. And finally, Canadian refugee Randy Quaid.
No comment.
You Canadians are commenting on this. I'm fascinated by the story of Randy Quaid holed up in Canada. It's unbelievable. Yeah. All I can think is Christmas vacation with Randy Quaid, and now he's claiming he has to stay in Canada or be killed, I guess. Crazy.
Yeah, he's going to have to grab himself a big winter parka.
All right, Reid, I give everybody a chance to name their sponsors. I think most people saw your sponsor names last Sunday, but let me know who's supporting your team this year.
Sure, I would love to. We have Geldwin Windows and Doors. This is their first year with us. Actually, all the sponsors, we are all first-year sponsors. Geldwin Windows and Doors, we're really happy to have them on board. Poly West. We also have Granite Hills Golf Course and Asham Curling Supplies, as well as the Canadian Sports Center.
Hey, didn't Geldwin used to sponsor Kerry Burtnick?
Yeah, he did.
And Jeff had a different window sponsor, didn't he?
Yeah, last year Jeff had Huron Windows and Doors, and we got an offer from Geldwin. Went back to Huron to see if we could, keep Huron, but it wasn't meant to be, and we moved on. And
those Geldwin pockets were too deep.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Good for them. It's good for them. It's a little window battle out there in Manitoba curling. I like it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
All right, Reid. Hey, appreciate your time. Good luck with your practice there at the Rouge, and look forward to seeing you again on tour this year.
Thanks very much. We've got to practice up for the berth. We're trying to get our spot into provincials this weekend. Oh,
yeah, that's right. You have to do that. If you don't do that, is there a chance that you guys have a conflict with a slam at some point, right?
The zones are the same weekend as the slam, so we're going to be looking at other options to get into the provincial.
All right, well, you're going to go hard, I guess. We're
going to give her a go, yeah. Thanks very much, Dean.
Thanks, Reid. Take care. That's Reid Carruthers on The Curling Show, a conversation that was recorded 1 week after the season's first Capital One Grand Slam and 1 week before Team Stoughton secured their spot in the Safeway Championship by winning the Southern Berth Bonspiel. If you're going to play on back-to-back weekends, make sure your body is up to the task by following the programs in Fit to Curl, the first book on curling-specific training by Olympic gold medalist Team Martin Third and curling.ca blogger John Morris. Available at fittocurl.com and at Better Curling Pro Shops. As always, thanks for listening. Here's Black Pudding.